is Agriculture Today, and I'm Samantha Bennett with the K-State Radio Network. Ahead of us today on this Wednesday's program, we start with Kansas Farm Service Agency Farm Loan Specialist Marissa Kepley. She joins us to discuss direct loans offered by the FSA, such as operational loans, term loans, farm ownership loans, microloans, and youth loans. Also ahead, Double Up Food Bucks Program Manager Erin Bishop shares about the Double Up Food Bucks program, its connection to farmers markets across the state of Kansas, and how producers can get involved. We end with this week's Beef Cattle Institute's Ask the Experts segment, where Brad White, Bob Larson, and Brian Lubbers answer a listener's question about pink eye. That and more awaits us ahead this Wednesday on Agriculture Today. This is Agriculture Today. We are back with our FSA segment for the week, and to do that, we have with us Marissa Kepley. She is a farm loan specialist from the Farm Service Agency in Kansas. So, Marissa, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So today we've got a few topics we're going to cover, but first and foremost, we're going to start with the direct loans program.
Yes. In Kansas, we have 21 loan offices across the state. They're kind of sprinkled just east to west, everywhere, north to south that you can imagine. All those offices handle loans for their surrounding counties. And our most recent office just opened up in Garden City, so in Finney County. So we've got a new location to kind of help farmers and ranchers in that area. Within our direct loans, like I said, we make loans to farmers and ranchers. The direct loan program, that is facilitated directly through FSA. So as a customer walks in the door, you're going to be dealing with your same farm loan officers, farm loan managers in that office for the life of that loan. In the fiscal year so far, we've funded over 819 direct loans, and that amounted to just over $146 million worth of assistance for farmers and ranchers in Kansas. Within our direct loan program, we do offer a couple of different options. We have operational loans. And those are annual loans. Those are to cover expenses. So anything from your input, your seed, your fertilizer, anything that goes into making your farm run, we can help finance that. And then we also have term loans. And that includes anything from purchasing, machinery and equipment or livestock, things to expand your operation. Another avenue that we have with the direct loans is what we call farm ownership loans. And those are loans directly to producers to purchase new ground to expand their operations. So if they're moving to, take over a part of their family operation or the neighbors or something like that, we can help with that. Another thing that we have in the direct loan portfolio is what we call microloans. Those are smaller loans. They can be anywhere up to $50,000, and they can take the form of a farm ownership loan or an operating loan. They help out, a lot of beginning farmers that are just getting started, a lot of niche operations that are just, really specialized crops or something like that. We do have those options available. And then we also have youth loans. Youth loans, they're limited to about $5,000, but they're from anyone aged 10 to 20. And those are folks that are involved in 4-H or FFA, getting their livestock bought for fair or things like that. We're just wrapping up fair season. So we have a lot of youth loans that we finance through that program. The other program that we have primarily is guaranteed loans. Those are loans that are made directly with financial institutions in the state. That program, it's going to differ just a little bit. So your farmer or rancher is going to deal directly with the bank or the credit union that they're familiar with. The government just kind of sits in the backside and behind the scenes, and we guarantee those loans. So it might be somebody that has run out of eligibility that, we can no longer help on the direct side, or maybe somebody that's struggling a little bit financially, some sort of economic setback, something like that, or beginning farmers that are just getting started. We do handle a lot of those. That program for the fiscal year so far, we've funded 149 loans in the guarantee program and just over $58 million there. And then our last one that we have within our loan portfolio is the Farm Storage Facility Loans, or FSFL for short. Those are loans where producers can come in and they can get assistance, if they want to put up some grain storage, or now it's branched out into, milk, dairy, if they need cold storage, or even fruits and vegetables for producers that are more specialized. We have that option available as well.
Absolutely. When it comes to some of these loans, what are some of like the basic qualifiers that producers tuning in should know about?
Sure. Yeah, there's basic eligibility factors, especially for our direct loan program. So we're not here to compete with the banks. It's just for those that need assistance that can't go through your traditional financial institutions. There are some operator requirements. Of course, you do have to have some experience in ag, especially for our farm ownership loans. We require 3 years of experience to get started with those programs because we want everybody to have a really good footing as they start off with these ventures.
Absolutely. And those 3 years of experience, what can that include?
Sure. Yeah, they can do, on-hand experience, farm management, some sort of like internship. They can have educational background. They could have a bachelor's degree or something like that can qualify for a year of experience as well. If they've had past loans with us, so if they had a youth loan when they were younger, that can help them qualify and meet eligibility.
Excellent. Well, I know that was a lot of information for listeners tuning in. So if they're looking for more, or maybe the information repeated, maybe on paper, a bit easier to read through, where can they find that at? Yep.
You can just go to USDA.gov and then search for our agency. It's under Farm Service Agency. There's a lot of helpful information there, a lot of information on that website, but that they can look up what are called fact sheets. They give you a really nice breakdown of each individual program and some of the qualifiers. But then they can also just stop into any of our local offices across the state. There's folks there that can give information, provide information, handouts, and what have you, or just call and sit down and discuss available opportunities.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned you had something else you might like to discuss with us today.
Yes. So we've got partners on the farm program side, and they offer what's called non-insurance crop disaster assistance programs. So that's NAP, N-A-P for short. And they just wanted us to make everybody aware that that's designed. It reduces the financial loss that occurs when some sort of natural disaster, causes a loss to production or a loss to value. And it's for anything that might be also not covered by traditional federal crop insurance. With that, they do have a couple of different coverage options. They've got base coverage, which is a 50-55, and that means that 50% of the production loss can be covered or 55% of the price coverage. And there are some specific buy-up options to that too. But one thing in particular that they did want me to point out is the cost that they can have some service fees waived. So if you have an SDA, which is a socially disadvantaged producer, and that does include gender, so any female producers out there, that fee could be waived for any limited resource producers, beginning farmers or ranchers. Beginning farmers or ranchers would be anybody with less than 10 years of experience. And then also any veteran farmers or ranchers. So within 10 years of having some sort of active duty service, they could qualify for a fee waiver. So, there's a lot of options if they want to get into, like I said earlier, with those microloans, some of those specialty operations, they could come over to the program side as well and then get some coverage for those crops that maybe wouldn't be covered under traditional crop insurance.
Absolutely. And some of those disasters include, I'm assuming, maybe drought like we're currently experiencing?
Yep. There could be drought. There could be flood. Any of those types of instances where there would be some sort of loss.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sure. And then when we're on the topic, you brought up that instance of, supporting diversity in agriculture. Are there other instances of loans that are specifically to meet those people's needs?
There are. There's actually a push recently for urban agriculture initiatives. So in your more tropicalized communities to start community gardens, adventures like that they want to kind of get ag into those sectors. That's also covered by FSA.
Cool. So areas like Wichita, Topeka, maybe?
Yeah, Wichita, Kansas City, Topeka, anything like that. Any other bigger metropolises.
Excellent. Well, all of that information, of course, will be linked in the show notes of today's episode, which can be found on agtoday.net. Marissa, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Once again, that was Marissa Kepley. She's the farm loan specialist with the FSA, speaking with us for this week's FSA segment. Before we cut to a short break here momentarily, a quick message in regards to the Farm Service Agency again, but this time covering changes for applications for USDA Emergency Relief Program funding and other risk management programs. Farm Service Agency Administrator Zach Ducheneau provides information on how pre-populating information will help streamline the process for these programs. Rod Bain with the United States Department of Agriculture reports.
Eligible producers considering application under Phase 1 of USDA's Emergency Relief Program recently received some news.
What we're talking about is extending the application period, and it's really, to call it an application is a little bit of a misnomer.
Because as Farm Service Agency Administrator Zach Ducheneau notes, pre-filled applications were mailed last May.
We have taken the information that we already had at our fingertips with our sister agency, the Risk Management Agency, and pre-populated a form, sent it out to all producers who had an indemnified loss
of crops due to natural disasters in 2020 and 2021.
And all they had to do is read it, verify it, check a couple boxes agreeing to secure some type of risk management coverage for the next 2 years, and send that back in.
The administrator adds there is no deadline for submitting emergency relief program applications yet. That will be announced at least 30 days ahead of last date of return mail. Now, the information pre-populating these application forms are based on existing USDA and crop insurance file data. And this approach is being used for additional risk management programs. For instance,
another part of Phase 1 is taking additional information that we have for other producers within the Non-Insured Disaster Assistance Program, or NAP, and doing the same approach with them.
NAP-covered producers suffering a qualifying loss in 2021 are now receiving pre-filled applications in the mail.
They will have to sign it, agree to carry the similar coverage for the next 2 years, and they too will receive a payment in their mailbox or their direct deposit account in just a few days.
Producers qualifying for other USDA risk management programs will receive pre-populated application forms sometime this month.
There are still some crop insurance products that have yet to report or are in the process of reporting now, and we aim to get those all out here in late summer of 2022. That would be your supplemental coverage option, enhanced coverage option, stacked income protection, margin protection plan. We want to make sure that producers know we just got to wait till we've got the right information to make an application run.
I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Once again, we will return here momentarily, but after this short break, we will be back with more ahead on Agriculture Today. This is Agriculture Today. We are back now for a segment on the Double Up Food Bucks program. And to speak on that subject, we have with us Erin Bishop. She is the Double Up Food Bucks program manager. So, Erin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I first heard about your program because I myself frequent our farmers markets here in Manhattan. There's one that's nearby where I live, and I go there quite often. And I was wanting to talk about farmers markets, and someone introduced me to y'all's program and a few other programs that the state has. But I was really excited to hear about the Double Up Food Bucks program. So could you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the Double Up Food Bucks program is a healthy food incentive program for SNAP recipients. And SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's what we formerly called food stamps, or also referred to as food assistance. And so our Double Up Food Bucks program provides a dollar-to-dollar match for fresh fruits and vegetables up to $25 a day. We are a part of a collaborative through Kansas and Missouri. We have approximately 154 participating grocery stores, farmers markets, and farm stands in Kansas and Missouri. And really, it's a threefold program. It's a national model referred to as healthy food incentives. But the gist of it are that families bring home more healthy food, our farmers are making more money, and more food dollars stay in the local economy, strengthening our communities.
In terms of how this partnership came about, how did this program really get started?
So this program started in Kansas City, really in the metro area in 2015 with 5 grocery stores as sort of a starting process. I will mention that grocery stores that participate in our program are required to purchase at least a percentage of their produce during the growing season from a local farmer. And so then in 2016 to 2019, the program expanded to be supported by a $5.8 million USDA Food Insecurity Nutrition Incentive Grant. and that also included local and regional match funding. At that time, it was offered at 81 farmers markets and 102 grocery stores. In 2020, the USDA grant ended, and so local and regional funding through places like the Kansas Health Foundation secured the program at 42 farmers markets and 20 grocery stores, so we could keep that access available to families and that extra income for farmers. And then thankfully in 2021, we were granted a new USDA Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentive Program grant of $8.1 million that also included local and regional matches to continue the program at existing and new sites in Kansas and Kansas City and West Central Missouri. And then in 2022, the collaborative received Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentive funding through the COVID relief. And so that allowed us to expand back into Missouri. And I will, just to backtrack, say that my focus is Kansas farmers markets as part of our collaborative.
Excellent. Well, it's really cool. Even you mentioned those grocers, when these programs are at those stores, they do have to buy a percentage of that produce from local producers. So really it's a program that not only gives back to community members that really need it, but also our local producers as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, the focus is definitely on families having healthy food and on our farmers bringing in more income and serving their local community that way.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that your area of focus really is on farmers markets. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I am the farmers market coordinator for Double Up Food Bucks for the state of Kansas, and I, again, K-State Research and Extension. So I work with the farmers markets throughout the state of Kansas, outside of the Kansas City metro area. And so I work with farmers markets that are currently part of the program, that are providing Double Up Food Bucks match for customers, for their vendors at their farmers market. But I also work with farmers markets that are interested in capacity building to become eligible to be part of the Double Up Food Bucks program. And so we have some eligibility requirements for those farmers markets. One is that they offer SNAP as a payment option for at least a year prior to participating, because that is the match requirement. And then other things that I will work on with those farmers markets are the marketing and the outreach efforts to raise awareness.
Absolutely. And if producers are wanting to find farmers markets that specifically cater towards this program, is there a way to do that?
Absolutely. So we have a collaborative-wide website. It's doubleupheartland.org, doubleupheartland.org. And there is a locations tab with a map, and you can sort locations based on zip code and the mile radius from that zip code.
Absolutely. And if producers are wanting to get involved at these local farmers markets, is there anything on their end that they really need to be cognizant of?
So farmers to be, eligible for the program at a specific farmers market, they really just need to be a vendor with that market. There's a preseason vendor agreement that they would sign for Double Up Food Bucks. But the way it operates at a farmers market is a central location. The farmers market operates the SNAP payment machine, and they do it on a token system. And so they distribute the tokens to the customer, and those customers then are able to shop with the various vendors of their choosing.
Well, if any of the, farmers markets, I guess, program managers is sort of the word you would use.
Yep. If farmers market managers, yep.
Yeah, if they're tuning in and they're thinking, well, this is something that I think would benefit my farmers market and my community, is there a way that they can contact you and reach out to get involved?
Absolutely. The best way to contact me is via email, and my email is erbish@ksu.edu.
We, of course, are going to include all of this information in the show notes of today's program, as we always do, which can be found on agtoday.net. So if you're not catching all of these links or all of these emails, you can find that information there. But Erin, before we go, is there anything else you would like to tell us about this Double Up Food Bucks program before we go?
I would just say that I think it's a really wonderful way to bring community together, to expand the customer base at a farmer's market, and to really connect folks with people that are growing their food. Everyone wants that access and to have opportunities to purchase wonderful, delicious local produce. So this is a great opportunity for that. And it's just really wonderful to watch that interaction and engagement in the community.
Absolutely. Well, Erin, thank you so much again for your time today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Once again, that was Erin Bishop. She is the Double Up Food Bucks Program Manager, speaking to us about the Double Up Food Bucks program across Kansas. Before we cut to a short break here momentarily, I wanted to give AJ Tarpoff, our K-State beef veterinarian, a chance to share a few PSAs regarding the K-State Ranch Management Field Days coming up.
Yeah, once again, our yearly, cooperative meetings that are coming up, the KLA K-State Field Days. We've got 3 outstanding programs in different parts of the state that I'd briefly like to outline, that if there's anything that might be of interest to you, come and join us at one of these field days, either in southeast Kansas, the northeast here near Manhattan, or kind of west central Kansas. So all of these locations and all of these meetings will be sponsored by Farm Credit of Kansas as well as Huva Pharma. But to kick things off, our opening meeting will actually be in southeast Kansas, just outside of Thayer, and that'll be at the Newland Farm. And this is kind of our aerial assault meeting, so to speak. We'll talk a little bit about fly control, talk about aerial seeding for some of our cover crops into standing crops. It's a newer tool. If you're interested in some of those things, we'll have a great panel discussion on that, as well as utilizing things like drones. So that's why drones, flies, aerial seeding, that's our aerial assault meeting. So that'll be a great program down in Thayer. Again, that's August 16th. The next meeting will be August 23rd, and that will be in Tescott, Kansas, just northwest of Salina. And that meeting, we will cover a little bit more about disease and nutrition. We'll have an update on bovine anaplasmosis. So if you're dealing with anaplas, that'll be a great program to come and attend, as well as how nutrition and reproduction really play into account. We'll have our beef cattle specialist, Sandy Johnson, cover a little bit on that, as well as artificial insemination. Dr. Dave Grieger from Animal Science will be covering a little bit more on valuing artificial insemination in a commercial operation. Our third and final ranch management field day will actually be August 25th, and that'll be at Burgess Land and Cattle in Westmoreland, Kansas, so just north and east of Manhattan, Kansas. We will actually dive a little bit into economics. We'll have Dr. Glenn Tonzer from Ag Econ join us, as well as Sandy Johnson again, covering some of the nutrition and reproduction interactions and how we can feed our cows to better have that reproduction efficiency, as well as out-of-the-box thinking from some local cattle producers on how to feed and forage and how we can better utilize it and have better management on how we can provide those animals feed during the winter months. So again, we have August 16th, we have August 23rd, and August 25th. For more information and for flyers of each of these events, you can find them on our ksubeef.org website.
Excellent. Well, as always, the link to that will be in the show notes of today's program, so you can find that on agtoday.net. But AJ, if listeners are tuning in and they're wondering about deadlines for these events, is there a deadline to register for any of these?
Registration is always welcome. We really, push for having people to give us a better understanding. We are feeding people a beef dinner, so please RSVP if you can. However, please come. These are excellent educational events. Sit down with your neighbors, talk with the specialists, talk with the experts, learn more about some of your neighbors' operations, and maybe you can incorporate some of those ideas into your own. So please, everyone is welcome at these KLA K-State Field Days.
Absolutely. Once again, that was K-State beef veterinarian AJ Tarpoff sharing some excellent opportunities to join and come to the K-State Ranch Management Field Days that are coming up soon. We'll be back with more ahead after the short break on Agriculture Today. Agriculture Today. We're ending this Wednesday's programming as we always do with this week's Beef Cattle Institute's Ask the Experts. Our experts this week are Brad White, Brian Lubbers, and Bob Larson.
Hi, welcome to BCI Ask the Experts. I'm Brad White, and happy to have you listening with us today. This is our chance to answer questions from you about cattle health or management issues, and I've got two great experts with me today to answer a question. Dr. Brian Lubbers, who does food animal therapeutics.
Hello, Brad.
And Dr. Bob Larson, a veterinarian here at Kansas State.
Hello, Brad.
We're happy to have you guys with us because we've got a great listener question today, and after I ask the question, you'll each get a chance to respond, where you will accumulate points for your best answer, and then you'll get another chance at the end to kind of wrap up with some closing comments. So this question today applies to a lot of our producers. They would like to know, how do you identify and treat pink eye in calves? Brian, I'll go to you first.
So identification, fairly straightforward. Most of the time it's based on just what you can see visually. You have an animal that's squinting, blinking, watery eye, and then if you bring that animal up, a lot of times what you'll see a small ulcer or a small spot that's on the surface of the eye that's kind of, it looks like it's almost eaten away. There are some actual laboratory tests that you can do for diagnosis, but I'll leave at least something for Dr. Larson to be able to answer to.
Yeah, he pretty much covered most of the most important things are when the disease is pretty progressed and it's pretty severe. That eye will have a big ulcer on it and be quite painful. I'd rather find it a little bit earlier so that I have better treatment success. And so the main thing I'm looking for is kind of some wetness, some weepiness in that eye. That would be an indication early in the disease onset. So you got to look at the calves pretty closely. That's what I'm looking for. Now, if I ever get into a situation where it doesn't seem like it's the right time of year or something like that, then, catching that calf and even just running your finger on the inside of the eyelid is important, because the other thing that it can cause a watery eye, kind of an irritated eye, is, grass-ons, some foreign bodies, those types of things. And so if it looks like pink eye and it's the right time of year, this time of year, it probably is pink eye. But there are times when I may want to get that calf up and really examine it more closely.
All right, I'm going to give 6 points to Brian, and I was going to give 8 points to Bob because he said if you find the ulcer, it's too late, and it could be something besides pink eye, but you went overtime, Bob. So only 7 points for Bob. All right, now let's talk a little bit about treatment, and Brian, I'm going to go to you first on this one as well.
So treatment, actually pretty straightforward for treatment. Pink eye is typically caused by a bacteria. We usually, Moraxella is the name of the bacteria that we typically associate with it. So since it's a bacterial infection, the mainstay of therapy is antibiotics. We have 2 that are labeled for treatment of pink eye. So oxytetracycline and tulathromycin. Most people would know those, the LA200 products. There's a whole bunch of generics, and then Draxxin, and we now have generics for Draxxin too. So those are the things that are labeled. If you aren't using those products, you have to have extra label use authorized by a veterinarian, and so you need a veterinary involvement to do that.
Bob?
All right, so those are good antibiotic choices. The other thing that a lot of times we will do is to cover that eye. So put an eye patch on it, sometimes even sew the eyelids shut. Those calves are really sensitive to the sunlight because of the damage to their eye. And so covering it with a patch or sewing it shut. The other thing that does is it does kind of decrease that fly involvement, that fly continued irritation of that area. So not only the antibiotics, but a lot of times we will cover that eye in some way or another.
Excellent. And Bob brought up flies, which can help transmit this disease. So we do have to do some fly management as well. So I'm going to give Bob 3 points for that answer, and Brian, you went over time. So I'm sorry you lost a point on there. You only got 2 points for that answer, giving Bob the most points for the day.
Wow.
So on pink eye, and as he mentioned, catch it early. Your treatment success is going to be much better. Keep a close eye out on the cattle in pasture, and the sooner you catch it, the better our treatment success is going to be. We enjoyed having your question and certainly are happy to have any more. If you want to email us, you can email us your question at bci@ksu.edu.
That concludes today's Wednesday programming. As always, the link to more information regarding the Beef Cattle Institute is in today's show notes, as well as their email that you can reach them at to ask your questions. For Agriculture Today, I'm Samantha Bennett, and this has been Agriculture Today over the K-State Radio Network.